UFFI stands for urea formaldehyde foam insulation. It was a type of foam insulation that was developed in the 1950s. The compound itself was mixed typically at the construction site. It was a mixture of urea formaldehyde resin. It was combined with a foaming agent and compressed air. At the time, sometime in the 1970s, there was an energy audit that was done. There was energy rebates that were offered to the consumer. So for people adding in something like additional insulation, they would see some type of rebate back. So UFFI became a really popular product that people used in I think it was the late 1970s. Now, because of the rebates and because of the popularity of the program, out came a lot of fly-by-night companies. And due to the mixture process happening at the construction site, there was a lot of room for error to happen. If the concoction of those products was mixed incorrectly, there was toxic effects from the off-gassing that that combination produced. Now, that didn't mean to say that all UFFI that was used was going to be toxic or had these types of implications on the house, but there was a stigma that stayed on long after UFFI was banned, I think, in Canada in the 1980s. They still use it in other countries. It's still very legal in other places worldwide, but I think it was just Canada and the US had banned its outright use for foam insulation. There's been a stigma that's been attached to UFFI as a result. So much so and so potent that there's a UFFI clause written right into the agreement of purchase and sale in the boilerplate, which is the pre-printed text that we get on any agreement purchase and sale in Ontario. If you have UFFI in your house, there's an obligation to disclose. Well, there's an obligation of the agent to disclose what they would know. And then following that, a buyer may want to do some due diligence in finding out more information, certainly about whether or not there's anything harmful in the property, but there will be a stigma that's always going to remain with that property, even after you've had the UFFI removed. The fact that it was once in the property means that it's in essence a material fact that needs to be shared and disclosed about that property. So as agents, once we know that, we've got an obligation to share that information with agents that might be representing their buyer, or certainly any buyers that are looking to purchase the property. It's unlikely that you would find UFFI in a house that was built post-1970s. If you're curious, or maybe you're a buyer that's looking to detect whether or not a property may have UFFI, there's a couple of telltale signs. If you're looking on the exterior of a property, for example, there can be small holes that have been cemented over or, certainly filled in, maybe around 18 inches apart, I think, on the exterior of brick. There can be oozing from a foam insulation material that you'd see. It would be of a yellowish tint and not have a shiny a surface. And then lastly, if you were to take some in your fingers, in between your fingers, if it crumbles and turns into a powder, it's probably UFFI. If you're dealing with a property with UFFI, make sure that you get all your facts and information about what it is that you're dealing with, how it can impact the value of a property, how it impacts the value of the property as you're purchasing it. Because all of those things come into play. Hiring a knowledgeable and reputable realtor will be your first course of action.